just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another Packer Up, boys. And before we get into it, it's that time. Oh, yeah, that sound, baby. Oh, that's good. Easy drinking, beautiful lager. Get into your local, grab a case of bloke beer. It is the beer of rugby league. Give it a try. If you haven't given it a try or you haven't had it in quite a while, get down to your local, grab a six-pack, give it a try. We got the midi, we got the lager. Just a smooth, crisp, easy drinking beer. And look, we're the little guy. We're battling against huge multi-billion-dollar international companies. We're just a little guy starting our own beer. So if you want to support the little guy, give us a crack. A beer for battlers, a beer for blokes that turn up for family, mates, and good times. Aussie spirit in a can. Also, do not forget, drop May 6th. You may be looking at this hat. Brand new bloke hat. That is right. We haven't done a bloke hat in
a long time.
3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Like 3 years maybe. 3 years we haven't done a bloke hat. Brand new bloke hat. And when I say limited numbers, I'm talking limited numbers. Now, so this is going to be dropping on May 6th, 6 p.m. Bloke jerseys, which we haven't unveiled yet, they'll be dropping also. The unveiling of the 2024 bloke jersey will be Sunday, 6 p.m, the 5th of May. So the day before we drop the jersey, that's when we'll be revealing the 2024 bloke jersey. So this is the hat, the jersey, plus we've got one other thing that will be dropping, or two other things that will be dropping on that same night. So it's a massive night. You're going to want to be there. It's limited. Once these go, what we're dropping on that Monday to 6 p.m, we're not doing the jerseys again. They're done. That's the 2024 version. So if you want to get that jersey, make sure to be there. And as you guys know, our jerseys are easily our biggest drop. People love them. You can't get them anywhere else. And I'll tell you what, there's been a bit of dramas on the interwebs. Some jerseys are getting pretty bloody expensive out there.
Oh, I saw the...
I'm not going to say which jerseys, but holy, they're getting expensive.
And like not just playing jerseys, like training jerseys.
Training jerseys.
Oh, ridiculous.
So what I can, my promise to you this year, this is my promise to you, $99. $99.
You said that on the show on Monday and I was like, do I have to delete that? Was that a mistake? I genuinely thought that.
$99, but at least this year, the jerseys, the bloke jerseys are going to be $99. Just, I know money's a bit tighter these days and all that kind of stuff. Maybe next year, it might be around the 110 mark because, obviously 99 is really cheap. We don't make as much profit as we probably should on the jersey. So we're going to go $99 again this year. Maybe next year we might go up to 110. Look, put it this way, we're not getting up to bloody $200 marks. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. Maybe if inflation hits in 10 years, we're going up to $200. But look, if we can just make a decent amount of profit where it makes a drop worth it for us, we'll continue to do that. So this year we're staying at $99. So make sure if you want the jersey. And plus, what's crazy about our jerseys, the material is literally will last you 20 years.
Yeah, it's the best.
Maybe longer. These are the old school material. This year they're a little bit thinner and a little bit of a hint. They have a collar.
That's the best part.
They have a collar.
Oh,
they have a collar. So that is Monday, the 6th of May, 6 p.m. Do not miss it, guys. These hats are dropping limited numbers. Jerseys, limited numbers, and a couple of other things also that are dropping that you're going to absolutely love. But, Matty, how was yesterday, mate?
It was good. It was, result aside, the day was fantastic. Before I do anything, I need to, because we sat on this show last week, and I said to you guys, I got tickets to the Rabbitohs game, but I couldn't get tickets to the AFL. It's the hardest ticket to get in town. Off the back of that, so I got to thank two people. First guy is Declan James, who listened to the podcast. He lives over in Perth.
What a man.
And so his mate, Jordan Hansen, and this is unfortunate, but him and all his mates bought tickets to fly over and watch the ANZAC game. But a week ago in a footy game, he broke his leg.
Oh.
Terrible, right?
In a league game or an AFL game?
AFL game.
Yep.
And needs surgery, can't go. Had 2 tickets spared and offered them to me and I bought them. And I felt like such a grub saying, I hope you're all right. Thanks can I get the tickets? But he was both absolute legends. So thank you so much. It was, I was with my girlfriend, Courtney, and her little brother, Angus. Angus, huge Collingwood fan, Courtney, huge Essendon fan. So I let them go. I went to the pub and then we all linked up and went to the Rabbitohs game after and took Angus to his first NRL game, which he enjoyed because he goes for Storm because he's down there. But yeah, it was a
Who's
great
the second guy you got to thank? Is that the two guys?
Those are the two guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, legends.
Absolute legend. And mate, with the broken leg, hope she heals all right, mate. You've made Matty's weekend,
You
and he's
seriously
missing
did.
his kid.
Yeah, like the whole family was stoked.
Yeah,
so amazing.
Thank you so much for that. And Declan, did you say as well?
And Declan, he's the one that messaged you and then commented on it. So
yeah, thanks, Declan. We appreciate that, mate. We really do. Mate, how's the day? How was the atmosphere down there?
Yeah, so Melbourne's just a different place, eh? Like Sydney, I love Sydney, but going out to Magic Round, there's something different about the footy. It's kind of like that but for AFL down there. And I couldn't get the NRL on the TV, unfortunately. I was watching on my phone, but the buzz just in the whole city when that AFL game's on is ridiculous. And then a bunch of those people walked across to the AAMI Park after, and AAMI Park was pretty much full as well. It's absolutely buzzing, especially because Storm played so well. Like it was so loud. The atmosphere was great. It's such an awesome day down there. They don't do two-up in Melbourne, which I found crazy.
What?
Yeah, they couldn't find it anywhere. Like I might have been looking in the wrong places. But
Did you ask why they don't do two up?
I asked a couple of locals, and they're just like, it's not a thing down here, which is a bit weird. But
How crazy is it that like another state of Australia that's so close,
yeah,
and yet there's so much we don't know about it.
so true. Yeah, I didn't know that, but yeah, the not the bad thing, but we didn't stay in a hotel. We stayed in Ballarat, which is where Courtney lives, which is like an hour and a half from the airport. So I'm running on about 3 hours sleep because the flight was at 7:30. But yeah, it was a tough one this morning. But that's all right.
That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt. I've got to say, we've got some great rounds, and this is not to me saying I love this round so much is not to put down any other rounds. They're all great. But this one for me is number one.
I'm with you. Yeah.
ANZAC round, and I love that they had 3 games on it. Like let's go all in.
Yeah,
we're talking about ANZAC Day. If there isn't something more to celebrate, I don't know what is.
Absolutely.
It's ANZAC Day. I thought it was great, and to be fair, I was a bit disappointed that the Melbourne and the Warriors clash no longer.
Same. Yeah,
but the fact that New Zealand got one at home, got to play one at home. Because they don't usually do an ANZAC clash at home, hey?
No, they haven't done one
Melbourne.
for like 10 years or something.
Yeah. So the fact that they got New Zealand, because it's ANZAC, it's Australia and New Zealand. It's half the thing. That made it definitely worth it. Absolutely worth it. And also it was a great clash down in New Zealand.
Oh, that was the best game.
Yeah, great game of footy. So I loved it, man. It's such a good day. It's a brilliant day. I think the NRL are so smart for going all in on it and celebrating it because it's one of those things that, look, if you're not on board with the ANZACs, then what are you doing?
Yeah, like everyone just is. It truly brings the country together.
There's no polarizing, nothing. It's the ANZACs, bro.
Yeah.
Like if your opinion on that is not good, you're wrong. You're literally wrong.
Yeah.
So, a massive thank you to all of our servicemen and women. And it just really does make you sit back and think you got to put yourself back in the shoes, especially obviously all servicemen and women, but you go back to the, World War II and one, and you go 17, 18-year-olds going over there.
Crazy. You
think of yourself when you're that age, you're like, what if I had the courage to do what these incredible men and women did?
Like, even thinking of like 15-year-olds that faked their age.
My grandfather faked his age.
Crazy.
He was a Rabbitohs, and he faked his age to get over there.
Insane.
So you just an incredible sacrifice from, thousands and tens of thousands of people. Incredible sacrifice to live, in my opinion, the best country in the world. How was what else? So what was it like watching the games on the phone?
Oh, it wasn't as good. I was so distracted by that, so I had to come in here early and rewatch that second game. I watched the first one was fine, but yeah, it was hard to concentrate on that Roosters game, unfortunately. But I just got swept up in the vibe of the Collingwood. Like I put a little Instagram up. Like it was just amazing down there. Yeah. But yeah, I watched the replay this morning. Holy, I can get into it, but Jesus Christ, Sam Walker, he just killed it. He just killed it. But yeah, it was fine. But being at AAMI Park, such a good stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, good day.
Don't forget, guys, give us a follow on Sportsbet feed. Listen, if you're driving, if you pull over, but once you get your phone in hand, if you're listening right now, pull your phone out, open your Sportsbet app. Just go to more, go to feed. You type in Denon, and all you got to do, give us a follow. It's we got up yesterday.
Yeah, that one was on your feed, the Brimo one.
Yeah, the Brimo one it's on my feed. We got up. I had Brimo anytime try scorer, and I had Titans with the line.
Nice.
Thanks for coming. But this is what we've got. We've got the bloke in a bar multi. So look, famously, the debut was an absolute blinder of a debut. Hammy come to us and said, "This is what I reckon we should do." I said, "Mate, let's do it." Okay, so I've gotten together with Hammy again. This bloke in a bar multi, so you go to your homepage, you go to NRL, and then up the top you go to NRL Weekly Hub, This NRL multi is all about Smokies. It's all about New South Wales Blues Smokies.
Okay.
I'm going Olakawatu anytime, Dylan Edwards anytime, and Hines anytime to score a try.
Yep.
That's giving you $32.
Really?
That's giving you $32. Those 3 blokes go over, you're getting 32 on that.
Wow, that's
juicy
odds.
That's juicy as it gets. That's as juicy as it gets. And it's on my feed, so you can just go to my feed right now, type in Denon, and you can follow it there. And give us a follow on the feed, guys. It's one of the best metrics. If we want this partnership with Sportsbet to go on for a long time, it's one of the best metrics for them to go, the community does get around it. They're engaged. Because that's what businesses want to see. They want to see, if we're going to partner with Bloke, does their community get around it? So it takes 2 seconds. You get exclusive insights into why I'm punting on what I'm punting on. You get cool multis. And as I said, sometimes you get it gets up. So,
I think that feature's really good, how you get to write a little description.
Yeah, for sure. I like it too. And it's when I'm looking at other bets on the feed, because you've got guys like Alex Volkanovski on there. It's like cool as. Just into their thinking. So give us a follow on the feed, guys. Takes 2 seconds and it's a bit of fun. And yeah, massive thank you to our partners at Sportsbet. Let's get into it, shall we? Got quite a few games to get through. Titans defeat the Warriors 27-24. What a win from the Titans.
Oh.
What a win. Heading into this game, as we got closer to it, I was like, I just get the feeling that Titans it's going to be a closer game than people give it credit for. Because Titans, although they haven't won a game yet, their first few games were like diabolical. Their last couple of weeks, they've just lost, like very close, narrow losses.
I mean, the Golden Point game against Canberra was awesome. They tried their guts out. The Manly game, they lost by a try, and Manly are red hot. So you're right. Like, even though they haven't got the 2 W's there, they've come in not too bad. Like they're they're much better than they were a month ago when it was 32-0 to the Dogs or whatever it was.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they've been building towards this victory. They've been really building towards this victory, which is like, that's what you want as a squad. You don't want to have these out of nowhere wins and you go, oh, where did that come from? You want to be able to go, no, I can see where this come from. I can see, and that's building standards. And so huge win from the Titans. I just thought they hung in there much better than they have in the past. They're obviously 12 points down, 15 are gone, 12 points down, whatever it was. Warriors had 70% of the possession. And the Titans just hung in there. They had, what I loved the most about it is it seems like they're setting themselves standards of like, regardless of what the scoreboard says, we have to do certain things. I thought Fodawaker, looked much better than he's looked in recent memory. AJ Brimson at the back though, mate, if he ever gets removed from fullback again, I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
It's over now. It's over.
I'm going to lose my mind if he ever gets moved from fullback. I understand Campbell is a gun. I've said that for years now. But Brimo is an absolute gun. He consistently delivers. Whenever he's playing, he consistently delivers. And if he was at a bigger club, a Sydney club, he would be way more appreciated as a player in the NRL. All you got to do is go and look at his Queensland Origin debut. He was outstanding. Yeah, but that defense from the Titans, like, that's what's so exciting for the Titans right now. That defense in that last 15 minutes, that's as good as any defense you're going to see in the NRL. Like, that's not just good for the Titans. That was... I would challenge, like, you go back to nearly any defensive 15 minutes in NRL, whether it's the Storm or Penrith Panthers or whatever, that's as good. Like, some of the tackles they put off, Kieran Foran's one-on-one tackle, then AJ Brimson's try saver, Verrills 2 try savers, in a couple sets before that. And we know the Warriors can put on points. That defense was absolutely incredible from the Titans. And the good thing is, as I said, it's a bit similar to the Bulldogs where they're built into it. Like, they've built into it. So, look, if there's one man that I go, okay, Desi Hasler, he's a mad scientist. Like, could he somehow pull this season out of the fire and make them at least contest being around the 8 to 10 mark or 12 mark? Maybe. I know it's such a long slog back from where they were, but they looked outstanding. And it wasn't just a fluky kind of, jag of a win. So really good signs for the Titans, really good signs.
I think as well, that last 15 minutes, like those try-saving tackles, but also like defending all those kicks that they put up, like how Dallin Watene-Lesniak didn't score at least one try was crazy. Like they held him up. It was so good and so gritty. Like you saw Foran right at the end of the game. He couldn't even breathe.
Yeah.
He was that gassed. It was great.
It was a really, really good win for the Titans. Thought Fafita was great when he came on too.
Yeah.
And just how much of a leader he's growing into. It's almost crazy to think that Fafita is like 23 or 24. Like it doesn't compute in the mind. We're talking about a bloke that's not even close to his potential yet. So great win from the Titans. In regards to the Warriors, look, they actually didn't play that bad. They just didn't capitalize on when they had good ball. The thing with the Warriors I'm seeing a little bit lately, it's not complacency. Complacency is the wrong word. But sometimes when you're such a structured side and you've kind of got a monotonous, same plays, very simple, high completion, you can almost get, lulled into a kind of monotonous, okay, this is my job. I do my job. I get to the next play. I do my job. I get to the next play. And you lose that extra, 5% of energy that you need. And I think I was watching some of the plays yesterday and everyone was doing their job, but they had that extra step of like really doing your job. Like, for example, some of the lines that they were running those lines, but you could tell they weren't expecting the ball. Whereas like that little 1% or 5% of difference, that's the percent of difference that gets you the extra space to score the try. And I just felt that they got a little bit too sideways at times, the Warriors. And also I felt that sometimes they can almost be too reliant on being a pressure building side. We spoke about last week how they're a plan A side. They don't really have a plan B yet. And I felt like with the Warriors this year, first of all, their defense needs to be sorted. That's one thing. Defense needs to be sorted. But second of all, I felt like sometimes they're a bit, it's going to sound like a double speak, but they're almost a bit too patient. Like when they got 12-0 up, I felt like, you've got to really feel the momentum in games and opportunities to kind of break someone's back. And I feel like the Warriors kind of went, it's all good. We're 12-0 up, but they've got the ball. It's all good. We build pressure. We go again. We build pressure. And that is 100% true, but you need that added intensity as well. And I think the Warriors sometimes they're so focused on like the job. Sometimes they forget that you sometimes need to be more than just a job. Not just, again, complacency is not the word I'm looking for here. It's just that extra bit of energy that like you're trying to make a difference. You're expecting the ball. You're running that line expecting that Sean Johnson's going to hit you short and you're about to bump three blokes. And I felt like yesterday, even sometimes with their line speed, like for example, in the last 20 minutes, compare that line speed to the middle 40 minutes of the game. It was night and day. And that's where I go, that line speed we saw in the last 20 minutes, I want to see that I'd rather see that for the first 60 and you fatigue and you can't do it for the last 20 than the last 20 you going, okay, the game's on the line here, we need to step it up. Because the same thing happened with Manly. They got out to a poor start. Manly were ahead. They fought their way back. It was a bit of a meddling game. And then towards the end, they just put it on them. And so with the Warriors, they've just got to find a way to keep that first 20-minute intensity, or at least they work in patches. Like they have 20 minutes of intensity here, then they lull off, and then 20 minutes. They need to do that for 80 minutes. And like you look at the Penrith Panthers, funnily enough, in that first year where they were going really well, they had a motive or basically a goal where they would win the first 20 minutes of every game. That was Ivan Cleary said. He said, we always went out there and said, everyone, guys, our main goal is to win the first 20 minutes of every game. And it won them that incredible long streak. But when it got to the business end and they needed to worry about more defence and defence winning them games, they obviously lost. And so what the Penrith Panthers did, Ivan Cleary's spoken about it, is they said, okay, we don't care about the first 20 minutes. All we care about is defence. Or like obviously they care about attack, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
We understand that it's not the first 20 that's going to win the game. It's actually the last 20 that wins the game for us. And our defence, whether we win 2-0, 30-0, 8-0, we want to be okay with that. And I think with the Warriors, they've got to, they're at the early stages of building what they're building. But I think they need to take that same mentality of, yes, it is good to be the team that everyone loves and scores a lot of points. But at the end of the day, it's defense and intensity that's going to win you most of the big games.
I guess the good news, like hearing all that for Warriors, is that that's extremely achievable. It's not like they need a new set of skills or something. Like that can be...
Yeah. And some people are trying to, here's the old Warriors. They are nowhere near look like the old Warriors.
Nah.
Even in their losses. Like, That's not true. Like what they still look good. They're just a couple of tweaks away from being where they need to be. That's it. Like even little things like, do they need to shake up their good ball attack a little bit? I'm noticing that when they attack, they kind of like swing out together rather than hold width. So they'll actually come in and compress and almost like fan out, and they'll be short passing, forcing the defense to kind of jam in, and then they get that extra space on the outside rather than the wing holding his line and getting a cutout ball. And sometimes there's an over top ball, but usually he's about 10 meters infield, the winger. And so I'm noticing a lot of, and Broncos do this better than anyone in my opinion, where they jam in, but that second line of defense funnels across. And I did notice a few times the Titans did that. They just shot out, and then your 4 and 3 in defender just sweep in behind and almost become a second, like a fullback defender and take the winger out. And I noticed that a couple of times, and I think that because everyone's aware of how good the Warriors' attack is now, they may need to tinker a little bit with those plays.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. I don't know how to follow that.
Okay, let's get to the next game. Don't forget, guys, menu log. Ben Hunt was our hungriest player. Use code HUNT for free delivery. And, guys, if you use any other apps or whatever, use menu log because each week you're guaranteed to get it cheaper on another app. So download the menu log app. Use Hunt. Takes 2 seconds. And every time you use our code, it literally supports us. It supports us. So if you're going to order some food to your house, do it with Menulog, use a code. They can track that. They come back to us and say, far out, this is so good, bloke menu's got around you. Also, the LDVT60, one of the most powerful utes in its class, auto from $38,990. Drive away for ABN holders, 7-year/200,000 kilometre warranty. Whichever occurs first, at that price, why go secondhand when you can have a brand new LDV? Roosters defeat the Dragons 60-18. 60-18. Now, what a performance by the Roosters.
Amazing.
Like, this is the Roosters that we expected. When you look at the team on paper and you go, this is the potential of the Roosters, this is it.
Yep.
Like, when everything is clicking, everyone is playing the way you'd hope they would, this is what they can deliver. They were too big, too fast, too strong, too intense. They were too everything. On every part of the field, they were too much. They were outstanding. I think that, yes, Robbo, in my opinion, last week, looking at put it this way, the first 6-7 rounds of the season after the results that they'd had, he was under a little bit of pressure. And I think that if it had to continue that way and they didn't really make a dent in finals this year, I do think that, I don't know whether they would part ways or whatever, but I do think it would probably be the first year where you'd genuinely have to have the conversation, is Robbo the right guy for going forward for us? If this continued, I'm not talking about round 6. I'm talking about if we got to another end of the season, they don't make a dent. What I loved about this is it shows that playing group is still Robbo's their man, and vice versa.
Absolutely, yeah.
They responded because it's probably the first time. Look, we've spoken about Robbo quite a bit, and when we feel like he's under pressure, mainstream media they don't really talk about it as much. He's almost a very safe coach because of his incredible career as a coach, and so I think it was the first week where you saw a bit of mainstream chat around. Is Robbo the guy going forward?
Yep.
And to see the playing group respond like that says to me that playing group says, no. We're not going to hear none of that chat. He's our man, he's our leader, and we're going to get behind him. And that is a great sign for Robbo. It's a great sign for the Roosters. And on top of that, I think Robbo, most likely, I'm not in the four walls, so I don't know, but I'm most likely made the right adjustments. And why do I say that? Okay, so the Roosters go in at halftime at 30-6 up. Now, if the Roosters go into halftime at 36 up for the last 5 years, you would expect Teddy has 7 tackle breaks, 180 metres, 2 tries. They're 30-6 up. This is what Teddy went in at halftime at. 7 runs, 62 metres.
Far
and
out.
A try assist. And this is going to sound like I'm being negative on Teddy. I'm not being negative on Teddy. I think he deserves a massive rap because he has clearly gone, I need to take a step back so my half can take a step forward. What happens? Walker comes on. Cheese has one of the best games he's had in the Roosters jersey. Walker has one of the best games. On top of all of that, there was a play where Kiri was ready to get the ball and he's got people all out the back, all ready to go. And I'll try to get the minute that it happened. I don't have the minute. But yeah, so basically... Yeah, sorry. 14 minutes in the second half. Walker literally runs in between Cheese and Kiri to get the ball to get a repeat set. And you saw that. And a lot of people go, oh, that's not good. Like, that's a spine that is not working well. I saw it and said, thank God. Thank God. On top of that, at the end of the game, this is what Kiri said. What have we been talking about for the Roosters for probably 2 years now on this podcast?
The halves.
But also, whose team is it?
Yeah.
Whose team is it? We've been talking about this maybe even 3 years, but I'll say 2 years. This is what he said. Kiri said after the game. That was his best performance, Walker. He didn't want to focus much on the team, but on himself and his style on his footy. Sometimes we put too much pressure on the young halves. This is Sammy's team. The more he pushes me out of the way, the better.
Wow. Love to hear that.
And that says to me, there's been clear direction from Kiri, from Teddy, from Robbo to say, this is your team, Sammy. We're going to back you in. Wherever you want to get to, whatever you want to do, we're going to support you. On top of that, you go and look at the try that Manu scores for the chip chase that Sam Walker puts over. Sammy Walker sees that the fullback's not there because of a great line break before. He goes advantage line footy. Guess who just notices Walker also creeping up? Manu gets on his bike right behind him and supports him. That is what you want at the Roosters, a clear cut. Whose team is it? It's Sam Walker's team. And that's why, in my opinion, they were so devastating yesterday because they were all on song. They all knew whose team it was. They got around Sam Walker. And he probably had the best game of his career. He was unbelievable.
Like watching that game back and just hearing what Kiri... I didn't know Kiri said that. That makes me... A combination of those things make me think, all right, Roosters can win the comp this year. They can win the comp this year.
One game, for sure. It's one game. But this is the recipe.
Yep.
In my opinion, this is the recipe. Yes, there are going to be games when the Walker comes out and has 3 or 4 errors, for sure. But you have to play with what you got.
Yeah.
Sam Walker is a flary player that's going to try things. The Broncos embrace that with Reece Walsh. They go, you know what, Walshy? You do some crazy stuff sometimes, and they're terrible errors. But you do some crazy stuff that no one else in the comp can do, and we, in return for that crazy stuff that you do, the tries you score that no one else can score, we'll defend our asses off for you. And that's what I think the Roosters are at right now. Well, at least with that game. In that 80 minutes, they were saying, Sammy, we got your back. And even with Teddy, you know, in the end, his stats end up being quite good. And that's what when I look at Teddy, I think some people... Look, if you've listened to the Bloke podcast for a long time, you would know I am a massive fan of Tedesco. So much so that a few years ago, before Teddy really cemented himself as one of the greatest fullbacks of all time, the amount of shit I used to get, be like, oh man, you always talk Teddy up, you love him so much. So when I talk about him so much, it's because I want him to be remembered as the great that he is.
100%.
I don't want him to have 2 or 3 quiet years at the end of his career and people go, he wasn't as good as we... No. Let's throw the bullshit out the window. Teddy is one of the greatest fullbacks of all time. Regardless of what happens going forward, he's one of the greatest fullbacks of all time. But in situations like this, if he takes a little step back, the big players actually do come. And he actually does get the line breaks late in the game because that's his specialty. Tired forward packs, great ball running and support play. And so in the end, he actually ended up having quite a good day statistically. But as I said, by halftime, 7 runs. Matter of fact, when they were like 50 up or whatever, he'd had 10 runs for 88 metres.
Wow.
Which is that is not what you see Teddy do. But that's what's best for... What Teddy did yesterday was what's best for the team.
Yeah.
He did exactly what the team needed.
It's pretty admirable from Teddy and Kiri. They've got, 500 games between... games experience between them. They got 5 premierships between them. Cleary's won a Clive. Teddy's won a Dally M or 2. And for them to both take a step back and to give it to Walker is...
That's what leadership is. Leadership is service. And look, in Teddy and Kiri's defence, maybe Sam Walker wasn't ready.
Yeah.
So they're going, well, we got to step up because he's not ready yet. So this is what he ended up with, a try assist, but he still only had 16 runs, 176 metres, 64 post contact, 4 tackle breaks, a line break. That's what I want from Teddy each week. I don't need... obviously, if the game calls for it, get in there, do the work for sure. 16 runs, 180, 200 metres.
If at the end of the game, if yesterday hadn't happened yet and someone said the Roosters won 60-18 or whatever, I would have thought, all right, Teddy's made 30 runs.
Yeah, 30 runs, 3 try assists, a try, whatever. And so that's what was really exciting for me is seeing Kiri and Tedesco play such a leadership role and allowing Walker the platform to be brilliant. Again, it's one game.
Yeah.
It's one game. I'm sure people listening right now, come on, man, like it's one game. I get it. It is one game. But at least that's the blueprint. It's the best that Walker and Kiri have looked together. It's the best that Walker, Cheese, Kiri, and Teddy have looked together. And so hopefully they can not repeat it against my boys, the Broncos.
It's one game, but like that could be a turning point for their season. Well, I think it will be. Because
like now they can go, okay, we know what the formula is. We know what the formula is. But I want to say my favourite bit. So that was good to see the spine work and understand, okay, and hear Kiri say this is Walker's team. But the best bit that reminded me of the Roosters of old, when I saw this play, kind of play out at the end of the game, I was like, that's like early 2000s Roosters. That is the ruthless Roosters that I know that is famous in that jersey. That we always talk about eastern suburbs. There is a gritty, very aggressive, dominant underbelly for the Roosters. They're a ruthless club. Roosters, 4 minutes to go, 54-18 up. They were absolutely flying up off the line, holding the Dragons in their own 10 metres.
Oh, yeah.
So there's 4 minutes to go, and they held the Dragons in their own 10 metres for a whole set.
Crazy. That's
the Roosters we know.
Yeah.
That's the ruthless Roosters that a lot of teams are intimidated to play. I'll never forget. We went down to Sydney, finals footy. We played the Roosters with, this is 2008, so stack side, the Roosters. And basically, we come out in the first 30, 40 minutes and we were shell-shocked. They absolutely bashed us, like flying off the line, lining blokes up, everything. And it was the most brutal game I'd ever been a part of. The Melbourne Storm game after that was the craziest game I've ever been part of and the most intense game. But when it comes to physicality, it was the most brutal game. And when I saw that in that last 10 minutes, the last 4 minutes, 54-18 up, that says to me that's a ruthless club and a ruthless playing group. And they did it all without Victor Radley. Who was the other injury? Sorry,
Tupou?
Tupou was out as well.
Yeah.
Man, that could be season defining. We may look back at that win and go, that's what won them the premiership.
Absolutely. I think it will. And I think
then you think it will be season defining. You don't think it'll be the moment that we go back.
No. I think this could be season defining for sure. Like that we could look back on this and think this is the moment that turned the season around. But back to that set, and like not only were they so ruthless and brutal, because they kept him in their 10, they forced Sloan to make a pressure decision. It was just perfection from the Roosters. It was cool to watch.
As I said, they were slicker than the Dragons, tougher than the Dragons, more everything. They were more everything. And so what a performance. And now it's about, there's the game plan. Yep. It's week in, week out now for you guys. Now, obviously you can't play at that intensity every week. If you do, you're going to win the comp.
Yeah.
But there's the game plan. And even if Sammy has a couple games where he has a few errors, you just got to back him in. Super impressed with the Roosters. And they just keep fighting and hanging in there, and any time that pressure begins to build up, they'll do something to release it, and hopefully this time though it's permanent. This is the new standard.
So they have Broncos next week, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Jeez, that's exciting.
Oh, huge clash. On to the Dragons. Look, Flano's done great down there. He's done great. His next challenge is consistency.
Yeah.
So he's got them playing much better than they have in the past, but his next challenge is, how do I get this team to do it every week? Because they were a shell of themselves compared to the week before. An absolute shell of themselves.
Yeah. It wasn't a good performance. You're right. Like, you just don't know which Dragons team's going to step off the bus.
It could be one that can go out and completely surprise a team like Manly at home.
Yeah.
Just ambush them. Or it could be a team that just gets completely blown off the park.
Yeah.
So that's Flano's next challenge. Like, clearly the boys will play for him. Clearly, he's getting players to play to their potential, but how does he get them to do it every single week? That's,
for sure.
We have to remember they're in a rebuild. I know Fano has said I just need a couple of years. I think he probably needs a little bit longer than that. But they're in a rebuild. It's obvious they're in a rebuild.
I love how good Lomax has been playing, but there were some moments in that game where, just making errors in your own half.
Well, you know what it was? It was the age-old saying, and I say it all the time, and people probably get sick of it. But you've got to earn the right to do the flicks. That will come. Don't force it. Whereas on the weekend, because it's been coming so often for him, and everything has been working so perfectly, he began to try to force these situations. And he started the game well with that flick pass and they scored early or whatever.
That was mad.
But what's worked so well for Lomax is his first priority is the tough stuff. Then when opportunities present themselves, he executes. Instead of being the guy that is going to go out there and create the opportunity before the hard work. That's what he did yesterday. He was trying to create the opportunity before the hard work had been put on. And so that's just, that he'll learn from that. He'll come out I guarantee he'll come out next week and he'll just be hit up after hit up.
It's almost like he let his intrusive thoughts win.
For sure.
Just one
and
week.
It's a big game.
Yeah.
Like, you got to remember, this is a young man with a lot of talent. It's a big game. He's on the big stage. He wants to have a big moment. He wants to do something big for his team.
For sure.
Because he is their game changer. But sometimes, in those big games, as I said, I was always taught at least, and look, Lomax is a much better player than me, guys. Like all these guys that I'm talking about are. But at the Broncos, we were always taught you have to earn the right to do the opportunity stuff. Yeah. So you do the hard work first. We always said, like constantly, they always repeat, hard work first, hard work first. Do the hard work first, and you'd be shocked at how many great opportunities are. And that's what Lomax has been all about.
Yeah.
Like it's no coincidence that Lomax has been the player of the year so far in the year that he has 20 to 30 hit-ups.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's the 20 to 30 hit-ups that's creating those opportunities for him, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Whereas, a younger version of Lomax, we would have these crazy highlights, but he wouldn't have the 20, 30 hit-ups, therefore you wouldn't see the consistency.
To make a positive out of a kind of negative situation, like obviously that flick pass wasn't ideal because the Roosters scored, but maybe because it has worked all year, it's kind of like a humbling moment for him where now he's got that in the back of his mind and he's gotten it out of the way and hopefully won't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's one of those, as I said, big game.
Yeah.
You're trying to make things happen. The Roosters are turning the screws. They're turning the screws. And sometimes when that pressure gets a lot, players go, I need to do something crazy to get out of this, instead of trusting that eventually momentum will swing. Eventually. So, look, it definitely wasn't his best game, and he'll learn from that. But, look, it wasn't anyone's best game on that side.
No, and Lomax has been, you could argue he's the form player of the comp.
If anyone's, so far this year, if anyone's earned a bad game, it's Lomax.
Bloody oath it is.
So, look, no one played well for the Dragons.
No.
Just a bad performance. Look, I thought Sewell was good in the first half.
Yeah. He's been good all year.
Bellin was okay. So, look, it's just...
And they lost a man in the first second.
Even that, like, 60 points. Like, let's
it's not good.
It's really bad. But they've got an opportunity to come back next week and rectify it. Now, on to Storm Rabbitohs. Man, Storm they're just getting a little bit better. They are absolutely a premiership threat this year. Put it this way, and you guys know listening to this podcast, last year there was really, maybe there were points where it was like, maybe they could be a premiership threat, but there was never a point where I could say it with my chest, with conviction, I reckon Storm could win the comp last year when I was watching them play. Even though they ended up coming third, and even though in a one-off game they could probably beat Broncos or they could probably beat Penrith Panthers, I just couldn't see them beating both teams in a row to win the comp.
Yeah.
This year, that's different.
They can win this.
They absolutely can win the comp this year. They're still only at a 7 or 8 out of 10 to where they're going to be by the end of the year. When they hit their straps at the end of the year, they will absolutely be able to take it to the best version of the Broncos and the best version of the Penrith Panthers.
Well, in my opinion, they've got the best spine in the comp, and that's definitely up for debate, but in my opinion, they do. And when if they all have 8 out of 10 games, who's going to beat them? It's crazy.
It's also, I was going to say it, I had it in my notes to talk about it last week. Why are we not talking about Pappy for fullback for well?
So true.
Like, I understand he's been injured or whatever.
Yeah.
But he surely should at least be in the conversation. Yeah. And we're guilty of it too. Hey, hands up. I'm guilty of it too. Like, we speak about Edwards, we speak about Teddy, Tommy. But Pappy has just gotten better and better. And he's just so classy.
Yeah.
And what he's done is just, with all the injuries, he spent that time working on his ball playing. Like, his ball playing is night and day better than what it was a couple of years ago. He is super slick with the ball. He's still got that speed. He's still brave as anything. He's safe as houses. He has really big plays. Like, we're talking about, again, has a huge play early in the game to get out of his own goal. I don't know why. Look, I do know why. Yeah, a player gets injured for that long. There's always just like, I just need to see him play, 10 rounds to kind of convince myself that he's going to be here for Origin selection. But just looking at his performances this year, he has to be in the combo. He has to be.
Oh, definitely. I think if I really sit down and think about it, I reckon he could be my ideal choice if Turbo's at centre. Because Turbo's my ideal choice, but you're so right. Pappy's an absolute freak, and he's so well-rounded now. He's so good at everything. Yeah, I agree.
The only, so if you're not going to, look, if you're going to put Tom there, you put Tom there. He's number one. It's not even a question. But if you're going to play Tom in the centres or on the wing, then it is about style of fullback that you want. Do you want Dylan Edwards that's going to be great in contact, get through a bunch of work, go 250 metres guarantee pretty much. Also the added fact that he's going to be with Cleary. Or do you want a much slicker ball-playing fullback? It's all going to revolve around game plan. Is your game plan a fullback with 250 metres with okay ball playing and also, very robust in defence and attack? Or is it the silky guy that's pretty good ball runner, as in he's a great ball runner, but I mean hit-ups, but extremely safe and also can put points on with his ball playing? It'll just be about styles of footy, I think, that we'll select whoever.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, both great options, but, yeah, it's a great point. No one's talked about Paps, but for a little bloke as well, I mean, he's not tiny, but for a little bloke, he just goes so hard. He's got Origin written all over him. I thought he should have got picked a few years ago when we picked 4 forwards on the bench, and unfortunately, obviously captain hindsight, but Teddy gets knocked out. We've got no one to replace him, basically. Gutho goes to fullback, and then because he was playing centre, I think Yo went to centre. I thought he should have played that, but I would love to see him get an opportunity for sure.
Yeah. What about the money man Munster?
Wow.
No one can do what he does, man.
That kick, the second one for Coates, was seriously, that kick was terrible.
Tell me another 6.
And it bounced perfectly up to him.
Tell me another 6 that plays like Munster.
Yeah, nah.
Tell me another 6 that can have 4, just one of those plays. If you had that once a month, just one of those plays, it'd be like, what a play.
Yeah.
Tell me another play that can have 4 of them in one game.
Ridiculous. 3 try assists by halftime.
Unbelievable. And so I hope his injury is starting to get better because, please, Queensland.
Yeah.
Typical. Look, we're at round 8.
Yeah.
Munster's been quiet all year.
Yeah.
And then he just goes, boom.
Yeah.
Hits the accelerator. Harry Grant, relatively quiet, boom, hits the accelerator.
When Coates scored I think it was his second, this was before he got injured, I was just sitting in the stands going, this is my worst nightmare. Not only of Melbourne pounding us, but the Queensland players are now in huge, great form again. It's just, Munster, close to my favourite player in the comp. Just an absolute, just a pleasure to watch.
Who does that?
Who does that shit?
Who does what he does? And it nails it. The thing with Munster as well is usually when a player does that, they've got 4 or 5 errors in their game. And you go, and you're always having the argument with people, well, I get it, he has a lot of errors, but when he nails it, he nails it. He doesn't have that many errors in his game.
No, he doesn't. Yeah.
So it's not like you go, oh yeah, it paid off this week, but remember last week when he had 4 errors? You don't usually do that, Munster. It's it just doesn't happen. It's mate, he was incredible. But it's between him and Walker for player of the
round so far.
At the moment, I'll just have Walker just because this is what Munster does. You know?
And I think Walker was head and shoulders by everyone. The Melbourne spine just all worked together. And Munster was the best player on the field, but I'll probably Walker at this stage, but it's bloody close.
Now to the Rabbitohs. Yeah, look, I've said it for quite a while. I do think Demetrio, unfortunately, it's been over for quite a while.
Yeah.
As anyone listens to the podcast, I said a few weeks ago that it was over regardless of the Sharks game, regardless of the because you even look back to the end of last year, in that massive fall off a cliff that Rabbitohs had, it wasn't like they had a fall off a cliff and then 1 or 2 games where they got up and they did something and you're like, oh, they're back. Every single game they were bad.
Yeah.
So it's heading into this year, obviously I would not have got rid of him last year, but heading into this year, you've got the added weight of 9 to 10 weeks of no reaction from, other than I think they won a Tigers game or something like that.
They won 4 games after that Magic round last year, but they were all against bottom 4 teams.
Yeah, so
except for the Warriors win. That was a good one in the wet.
In the wet over thingo. But yeah, that massive fallout at the top. I never saw a reaction enough where I was like, oh, the Rabbitohs are playing at where they should be playing.
Yep.
Even the Broncos, when they completely fell out of the 8, there was hints of, oh, are they back? No, they're not back. But you got to remember, Kevy was under pressure round 1 that year after they dropped out of the 8. He was under pressure. They weren't going to they didn't re-sign him yet.
Yeah, that's right.
So even the Broncos, with a club legend in Kevy Walters, after that was under pressure. But what did the Broncos do? Come out and they beat the Penrith Panthers. So yeah, unfortunately, I do think too much has happened.
Yeah.
Too much damage has been done. Whoever's fault it is it the playing groups? Is it the administration? Is it JD? I'll never know. What I do know is this current setup, you can't sack every player. The admin's not going to walk. The only big change you can make right now is the coach.
Yeah.
I hate blokes losing their
terrible.
jobs.
Yeah.
As I said, it makes me sick talking about it because that's their bloody livelihood. But this is what we're in rugby league. We have to give our opinion, and I've said for quite a few weeks now, too much water under the bridge. Like how practically could he get this team back to a premiership threat in this year? Because that's what they should be, is a premiership threat. I cannot practically envision it.
Yeah, I can't imagine it either.
Like he might be able to rally the troops and get a few wins here and there, but...
Well, after that Titans win yesterday, I texted you guys, I was like, there's 17 teams in the comp, and now there's only one team that hasn't put in a good performance this year, and that's South. And even the Titans have had 3 good games. Souths have had none. Souths have had no real good games, pretty much one good game in almost 12 months.
And that was, yeah. So
and that was that's a one-off.
I do think it's time. So unfortunately, in regard to the team, they, Cody came out and played fantastic for the first 20 and he's back. And then the momentum swung back the other way, and there was a little bit of a fight in the second half, but they're just the contact in defence, they're just losing the contact constantly. So the play the ball speed for the Storm was 3.47 seconds. The Rabbitohs was 3.85 seconds.
God.
So essentially 0.4 seconds, nearly half a second slower. And that sounds like nothing. That's half a second.
Heaps, yeah.
On average as well. On average. I think the club just needs a shake up, really.
For sure. They're leaking 35 points a game. That's just unacceptable, really.
The club just needs a shake up, unfortunately. And I think that someone new coming in and basically going in and saying, I don't care what your name is, I don't care your history, anything like that.
Yeah.
This is the new standard. This is the new expectation. This is what I want. And if you don't feel like that's the right way forward, please let me know and we can look to part ways amicably. And I do think that's probably what's...
It won't be Madge, but someone like that would be nice.
Well, again, it's going to be you can't go in there and just go, it's my way or the highway. Everyone will pull their head in. You got to do it you got to understand that these are men that need to be spoken to like men, not children. And so I think that you've got to get the senior players on your side, but at the same time, you've also got to be like, guys, whatever was happening before wasn't working. Whether it's your fault, whether it's JD's fault, whoever's fault it is irrelevant. What we do know is it wasn't working. So work with me here to get us out of this.
For sure.
If you don't, and this is the standards that I'm going to expect as a head coach, if you don't feel like that's going to work for you, I respect and understand that. Let's look at ways that, this is just how I would handle it anyway. I respect that you may not agree with me. If you don't, be honest with me, and let's look at ways for you to maybe move somewhere else or whatever it is. I just think that's the dramatic shake-up that needs to happen.
Yep. Agreed.
Because, a lot of people tried to point at Latrell's the problem. He didn't play. He hasn't played for 2 weeks.
Latrell's also been playing pretty good. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. He hasn't been playing, so he's not the problem.
Yeah.
Before that, Lockie Ilias was the problem.
Yeah. Great call.
He hasn't been playing. He's not the problem. So this idea to pinpoint these players and use them as scapegoats, it's clearly not the case.
Exactly.
Not clearly, but in my opinion, administration and coaching hasn't been good enough to get these boys to be where they need to be, in my opinion.
Well, 100%. As I said before, 35 points a game for a team that's supposed to be that's not just one person. That's a team-wide thing. And the first 11 rounds of last year, they were so good because they were defending so well. They beat Penrith, for God's sake. So
what was Sam Birch as their defensive coach?
He was their he was an assistant, or he was.
Could you just Google it, please?
Yeah.
They brought in a new coach this year, and I think there's been a dramas with that in regards to, I think he was a New South Wales Cup defensive coach or something.
Oh, right.
Or maybe JD took over the defence this year.
Yes, so that was it. JD took over their defence this year.
Yeah.
Which is concerning.
Well, unfortunately, the proof's in the pudding where, that is reason for why he probably should no longer be coach. If he take over defensive coaches and they've averaged 35 points a game, that's a failure as a defensive coach.
It just says assistant coach.
Well, I'd assume Sam Burgess had a lot to do with it.
Surely.
Fuck.
It's Sam Burgess.
His attack was good, but it's his defence that was known about. So, tough times for Rabbitohs. The positives for the club is they do have good players there. You know? I thought Cam Murray tried his absolute heart out yesterday.
Honestly, I hate to say it, but I love Cam Murray so much. I've said it a few times, I used to go to sit in the Burrow with him, but he doesn't deserve this. This is so bad. Yeah. And I had a look on obviously this was in jest, but I decided to have a read of the full-time graphic comments, which is,
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, it's rough. But the top comment was, the second comment was Cam, we don't mind if you leave. You don't deserve this. Just don't go to the Roosters. And it was the most liked comment. Obviously, it's a joke, but it's how we all feel. I feel so sorry for him. He's the captain and he's trying his ass off every week. It's heartbreaking, really. Yeah, and there are a few having a crack as well. But Jai Gray's one. But
look, to be honest, it just looks like a poorly run environment at the moment.
You're right. When you said before, contact, all year, every tackle, it doesn't look like they're dominating anything. No. It's just...
And, unfortunately, as a head coach, JD had made the decision to become the defensive head coach.
Yeah.
To become the defensive coach. If that is true, if that's incorrect, I apologise, but I'm...
No. I've read that a few times.
Yeah, so apologies if it's incorrect, but, there's Exhibit A as to why he probably shouldn't be head coach. Their defence is not good enough. And we're talking about players that, at the start of last year defensively were incredible.
Ridiculous.
So they have it in them. It's just a matter of who can replace,
Yeah.
For example, Ferner has been brought in as a defensive coach now, but he hasn't, he's been around the coaching traps for a while now.
Yeah.
And hasn't been a head coach. Maybe he has been here or there, but not for a long period.
He was a Raiders head coach 15 years ago, and he was coach of Leeds, I think, Super League a few years ago, but that's it,
Yeah, so if he's been around for this long and hasn't had success as a head coach or been picked up, you'd have to suggest he's probably not a head coach. Now things could change. Maybe he's learnt a lot. So the question now is who replaces him? And really, the only bloke, that's a problem. Everyone says we don't have enough good NRL players for expansion. I disagree. We don't have enough good head coaches and systems for expansion.
Well, the Dolphins just proves that.
Because you needed 100%. Wayne Bennett to make it happen.
Yeah.
And so...
I still look at the Dolphins squad and I'm like, how are they winning games?
Yeah.
But they do.
It's just... I think that we don't have... And the reason why I say that is because think about it logically. How do you train to become a head coach? Think about how much money is poured in for young men and women from under sixers all the way to 18 years old to become an NRL player.
Yeah.
We're talking every week. We're talking minimum 3 times a week they're training to become that. Minimum. How long are you training to be a head coach? You're not.
You're
just not. You might, even the best, you might go and coach local league for a couple of years, then you get into Resis and then you get into, New South Wales Cup or something like that. Then you might get assistant coach. It's still 5 years.
Yeah.
Compared to, not only is it only 5 years, the pool of people that want to do it is tiny.
Yeah, true.
So you're competing against a tiny pool of people with not much experience trying to do one of the hard... There's an argument to be made being a head coach is harder than being an NRL player. One of the hardest jobs in rugby league, and you've got no training for it. Your competition isn't, there isn't a big pool, therefore it doesn't lift you up and make you better. Whereas to become an NRL player, the competition is thousands of people. The resources are endless. The opportunities are endless. It is just night and day, mountain. So it's not the talent. We don't have the systems and the head coaches with enough training and years under their belt knowing how to become an NRL coach, in my opinion anyway.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Because we don't really go through a lot of coaches, do we? Like, Andrew Webster's probably, besides Benji, Andrew Webster's probably the last one that kind of just came out of nowhere. But whenever there's a new job opening, you never hear about someone who hasn't coached yet. So you're right. Like, the cycle of coaches actually is tiny.
Well, and if you're hiring a coach, you're not going to risk some random dude that's coached local league or New South Wales Cup. You've got a club future on the line. And so that's why we see this merry-go-round of coaches, because it's like, okay, did he do very well at the other club? Didn't do great, but at the same time, at least I know what he did.
Yeah.
And so it's a safer option to do the merry-go-round than it is to just go get a New South Wales or Q Cup coach.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm not going to risk the club's future on an inexperienced, unknown coach.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
Just quickly, Tane Milne very lucky to get 2 weeks.
Oh.
Like, that's one too many play snaps for me.
You know what? I compare it to this. Dom Young the other few weeks ago. Head-hide Taff. And it looked horrific. But Dom Young was going in to make a tackle, and a big tackle. He didn't mean to do it.
Yeah.
It just happened. Was it careless or whatever, careless, reckless, whatever. That's part of rugby league. That's a part of rugby league where it's a brutal game. Sometimes arms, shoulders slip up, people get knocked out. It can look terrible. I tell you what's never been a part of rugby league is shooting in at people's knees and shins whilst they're being held by 3 other blokes. Never been a part of it.
Yeah.
He's extremely lucky to be getting 2 weeks, and to be honest, he should probably be getting 3 to 4 weeks.
He should be getting more.
I don't even care about the history. I don't care about the history. You could have ended Munster's career.
Oh, that's ACL waiting to happen.
What? It could have snapped his. It could have been like Jarrell Yagi's injury.
Yeah.
Like it could have snapped his ankle. Like I cannot believe what he was thinking. Like really disappointing that. Like extremely disappointing. As I said, if Milne shoots in off his wing and accidentally heads high someone, I go, silly. It's a part of rugby league. He was trying to pull off a big shot, as we have seen.
Yep.
As we have seen. You go, okay, get your weeks, all good. But to intentionally make the decision to try to dive in at someone's legs like that, it's never been a part of rugby league, and I never want to see that again.
I agree. And I know it was at the end of the game, but if that was a straight send-off, I would have
It should be a straight send-off.
It should be.
It's the intention.
Intent. Yeah.
It's the intention. It's the fact the game is nearly over, the game is lost, and you're intentionally shooting in his legs like that. Like what were you trying to make happen there? So really disappointing there, man. It's not what South needed. It's not what his teammates needed, and it's just a bad look.
It was an ugly end to the game.
Yeah, and so look, I get it. We all have brain explosions, and he's going to sit, and he's 2 weeks out or whatever. But for me, that has never been a part of rugby league.
Yeah.
There's nothing in that suggests that like that can actually happen or it's a part of the game. Like it should never be a part of the game.
Yeah, especially like he was up there making a tackle with him, made the decision to go down. It was shocker.
Silly, very silly. Hopefully he learns from it. Manly released Schuster. Apparently there's a payout figure reportedly of $1 million. It's as I said, a lot of people, when they were talking about, there's these clauses in there and we could just sack him because he didn't hit these targets. And basically my opinion on that was A, that would get extremely messy. But B, I felt it was, and I said this on the potty, I said, it's an aggressive media push so that when they do give him something, he feels like they've moved a bit.
Yeah.
Because like, if those clauses were in and he had been breached, there's no way they're paying him $1 million to leave.
Yeah, no.
There's absolutely no chance. So that'll come out of the cap over the next few years. But it seems to me that, that was more of a, like, the media can say this, so that pressures Schuster to go, okay, this is going to be a long fight. Whatever they offer me, let's just take it and leave. But as I said, clearly, I guess Schuster and his management have gone in pretty firm because they got a fair whack.
Yeah. I think Manly are extremely lucky to be only paying $250,000 a year for the next few years because that deal they gave him was outrageous. Hasn't even started yet. Like that is one of the biggest screw-ups of all time.
Bizarre.
And they are so lucky that they've barely been hit by it.
I think it's $300,000 a year, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
About that. $250,
yeah.
It's still a lot of bloody money.
Oh, it's still a lot.
Like, that's for 3 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, well, at least they could part ways. Is what it is.
And look, hopefully this brings out the best in Schuster eventually. New club, new slate. Because you love to see when he's on, it's great.
Oh,
So,
man. I mean, we've said it a million times. His potential is crazy. Okay. We've already done our tips early in the week.
yeah.
Don't forget to give us a follow on feed, guys. Don't forget May 6th, 6 p.m. Be there. Bloke jerseys. It's a Monday. It's a couple Mondays from now. Bloke jerseys, bloke hats, couple other items. We will be revealing the 2024 bloke jersey Sunday 6 p.m. And as I said, limited supply, guys. And once this jersey's gone, it's gone. Also, Magic Round, we will be doing a meetup. It'll be the Saturday again. It'll be at Caxton Street. It'll most likely be at 1 p.m. Caxton Street, but we'll talk more about that as we get to it. That's way down the line. But obviously, these bloke jerseys are made to wear to Magic Round.
Yes.
They're made. That's the reason why we drop them at this time, because we want people wearing them at Magic Round because they're friggin' sick jerseys. They're old school. And, you know, they're my favorite drop in regards to like the yearly things that we do because, I don't know, I just get stoked when I see people wearing them. It's friggin' so cool to see. Don't forget to give me a follow on feed. It literally... Podcast is ending now, so it literally take you 2 seconds. Give us a follow, and you can see what I'm putting on. You can copy my bets. Also, don't forget Mosh. The bounce back this week was the Dolphins. Join 30,000 other guys in the Mosh hair regrowth family and get $50 off your first treatment plan code with Bloke in a Bar, all one word, at checkout. Give us a follow on Sportsbet feed. Grab a case of Bloke beer. May 6th, Bloke jerseys are dropping. I'll go and fuck myself.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.